Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? I want to welcome you to course English for Business. This is for basic level, and today we're going to see session 4. It is SWOT analysis. Remember that this is part of unit 2, that it is market analysis, and your teacher Liliana Quipuzco. So we're going to start. First, we're going to see the course considerations. Remember that you must speak English during the entire conference. Also, you can ask questions during the course of the conference. Third, I would really appreciate if you can share any anecdotes, experiences, or maybe any kind of problems that are related to the subject that we're going to see today in order to help you. And finally, at the end of this session, we will have an exam. This exam is a multiple choice question exam with 4 alternatives. So, what is a SWOT analysis? Have you ever heard about a SWOT analysis? Maybe if you are at university, you have heard about it. You maybe know how to do it, you know the word in Spanish, but maybe you don't know it in English. So, SWOT analysis in Spanish is FODA, analysis FODA. So, according to the dictionaries, what's the meaning of SWOT analysis? A SWOT analysis is the abbreviation for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Also is a way of considering all the good and bad features of a business situation or a company. That's according to Cambridge Dictionary. Now, according to Oxford Dictionary, a SWOT analysis is a study undertaken by an organization in order to identify the internal and external factors. In this case, internal would be strengths and weaknesses, and external would be opportunities and threats. Now we're going to see a little bit more why internal and external. But um, in general, a SWOT analysis, according to the dictionaries, are is a study that is going to be undertaken by a company or an organization in order to find good and bad features. In this case, internal and external features. In this case, it would mean strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So now, this is how you see, or in this case, this is how you do a SWOT analysis. You can make a little, you can write first strengths, then your weaknesses, then your opportunities, and finally your threats. In this case, in the middle will be the word SWOT analysis for the case that you are studying. Now, a SWOT analysis will help the organizations to develop an awareness on all the factors that are involved in a decision. So, if you're going to make a decision, you should make a SWOT analysis in order to know, to have a full awareness of what's happening around you. Remember that the SWOT analysis was created in 1969 in a book, Business Policy, Texts and Cases, by Edmund Rowland, and other authors. Okay, so in this case, we were talking about the SWOT analysis and what it means. The S is for strengths, the W is for weaknesses, the O is for opportunities, and the T is for threats. So if you see, in this case, this word SWOT analysis, you will be easily remember each part of the SWOT analysis. Strengths for S for strengths, W for weaknesses, O for opportunities, T for threats, and SWOT. Now we said that it involves internal and external factors. The internal factors are inside, or in this case, strengths and weaknesses are inside internal factors. Why? Because these are the resources and experiences that you will have available. In this case, the resources and experiences that you will be aware of. In this case, you will be aware of your own strengths and you will be aware of your own weaknesses. So this is what we know. On the other hand, external factors are the ones that we or our company don't have any control over it. In this case, you don't have any kind of control over the opportunities that may come along, or you won't have any kind of control over the threats that also might come. Okay, so because we cannot control opportunities and threats, these are external factors. Okay, now remember that you could use a SWOT analysis. You can make a SWOT analysis before you're going to make any action or decision. Oh, nowadays it is better if we do a SWOT analysis before making any kind of decision, because this will allow us to see how is right now our company, in what our company is good, in what our company is bad, what opportunities we have around our company that we may take advantage of them, and what are the possible threats that we might be careful, that we might keep an eye on it, so our decision doesn't get us to a bad situation. Okay. Now also, it is um, it is really wise not only to make a SWOT analysis before taking any kind of decision, but also from time to time to check the current landscape of your business and of your business and how your business is right now. And finally, you can do a SWOT analysis, uh, or in this case, a SWOT analysis can be done not only by the business owner, but also by other team members. In this case, it will be better if it is done by a business owner and also other team members, because we won't have the we will have more opinions on how everything is going. Remember that a business owner will will be more likely to see only the good things that are happening in the company. On the other hand, if we have team members that are, for example, sales people that work on sales, or people that talk face to face to our clients, they will more likely to have not only to see these strengths, but also to see the weaknesses, because they are going to see maybe the client is not happy and what problems the client or the company has. Now, remember that a SWOT analysis it is not only to be used in business, but you can also use it for yourself. In this case, if you're going to make a decision for yourself, a personal decision, you can use a SWOT analysis. That is good to do that. And also, we said that it is wise to perform a general SWOT analysis just to check on the current landscape. You can do that also into your life to check how your life is right now. So you can do a SWOT analysis to yourself just to see a landscape of how your life is doing, how your life is going, and to see what you can do. In this case, if you see on opportunities, you can see maybe what are some things that maybe you can do in the future. And it would be a really, really nice way of practicing the SWOT analysis in order to do it for a company. Now, there are there are some specific details, some specific information that we can add to our flood analysis. Specific information for each specific factor. In this case, once some information that are specific for strengths, some information that is specific for weaknesses, some information that is specific for opportunities and threats. In this case, first we have strength. Strengths could be the things that your company does well. For example, we could be talking about, let's say, if I have a restaurant, maybe if my food is really delicious, that would be a strength because it is a thing that my company does well. Another would be the qualities that are going to separate us from our competitors. If we take the restaurant case again, this would be, for example, um, we could use maybe the things that separate us from our competitors would be that we offer many options for a main course. Let's say, for example, our competitors just offer two or three options for a main course. In this case, we're talking about food, and we offer six options. So our clients will have more options to choose from, so they will be happier, and this will be a strength. This is a quality that's going to differentiate us from others. Now, another strength would be internal resources such as skill, knowledge, staff. For example, we are talking about skill, knowledge that our staff might know. So maybe if we have a staff that not only are people that cook for day to day, but we have people that really study how to cook, a professional cook, um, this will be a really good strength because it's going to be a person that knows how to do stuff. In this case, how to cook professionally, and it's going to be more tastier than our competitors. Also, another detail that we may put on strength are tangible assets such as intellectual property, capital, technology, better. For example, in this case, if we take the restaurant and we are talking about tangible assets, we could say that our our properties, for example, we might have a really large restaurant, a large space, but not only a space, but what happens if we have a playground for kids? For example, if you go to KFC, if you go to McDonald's, if you go to maybe to eat pollo a la brasa, you're going to see that they have these playgrounds especially for kids. So this is a really good strength because it is going to the meaning of this is that families can come together to the restaurant, and while the parents are eating, the kids are playing and they are not going to disturb the parents. So the parents are going to be happy. So they will rather go to a restaurant with a playground than one that doesn't have a playground. So in the same example of the restaurant, a strength would be if we have a playground in our restaurant. Okay? Those would be kind of examples of what we can put on the strength factor. Now, going to the weakness factor. First, we have things that your company lacks of. For example, we might lack of um, several um, tables. For example, let's say that we only have uh, 10 tables, so we can use set 10 groups of people. But on the other hand, our competitor can accept 20. So he double our capacity. He's going to double our capacity. So that would be a weakness of us. Another would be things your competitors do better than you. Let's say, for example, uh, our the people that work with us maybe are not very good at math. So when they have to do the bills, and bring the bills. They are going to take too much time to bring the bill because they will take their time to do the math. But on the other hand, if our competitors are good in this and they are better at this, it would be our weakness. Okay? Another is the resource limitations. It is kind of the opposite of the tangible assets that we have in one hand. In this case, if we're talking about a restaurant, resource or limitations could be, let's say, we could talk about drinks. So maybe we have a limitation on drinks. We can only sell, let's say, just sodas. But on the other hand, our competitors sell sodas, sell chicha morada, sell maracuyá. So they are better than us in that factor. So it would be our weakness. And finally, it would be an unclear, unique selling position. So let's say, in this case, talking about the restaurant example again, if we are talking about an unclear, unique selling proposition, it could be a little hard to find an example on that, but let's say that maybe they have a better we could talk about prices, and maybe if they have a cheaper price than us, it would be kind of a better selling position, and it will be our weakness. Now, talking about the opportunities, factor opportunities, we could talk about undeserved market for a specific product. So, so we could talk about undeserved markets for a specific product. We could talk only also about few competitors in your area. We could talk about the emerging need for your products or services, and we could talk about press and media coverage of your company. For example, if a newspaper comes to our restaurant and we are interviewed by them, and they will take it on the news, in this case on the newspaper. It will be a press coverage of our company that will give us an opportunity to get more clients. Also, if we're talking about the emerging need for products, in this case for our food, it would be maybe the potential opening of a mall near to our restaurant, of the potential opening, let's say, of let's say a business building next to our restaurant. So it means that more people will come to the area to come in the business building that is going to be next to us. And also, if it is going to be a business building, it is going to have companies inside. So these companies are going to have people working for them, and these people are going to be working for them will need food for lunch and for dinner. So this would be a great opportunity for us, and this would means an emerging need for food in the area. And then we have a few competitors in the area. Maybe if we are in a, let's say, urbanization that only has 2 or 3 restaurants, it's going to be better than if we are in a urbanization that have 15 or 20 restaurants. So in this case, if we are on the urbanization with 2 or 3 restaurants, it would mean a better opportunity for us to sell more. To sell more. Now, the underserved market for a specific product would be related to this because let's say that in the area there are not too many people that can offer this product, or in this case this food. So if we are the only ones, or we are one of the only ones, or the few that are allowed to serve this specific product, let's say that we will not only have food but we will have vegan food. This will mean a really huge opportunity for us because we will be able to get to those vegan clients that will not find food for them in other regular restaurants. And now, the final part of the SWOT analysis is threats. In this case, we are talking about emerging competitors, changing in the regulatory environment, negative press or media coverage, and changing customer attitudes toward your company. First, if we talk about emerging competitors, it means that maybe we are in a organization that only has two, two or three restaurants, but now there are appearing more and more restaurants, and now we have 10 restaurants around us. So that is going to be a threat for us. Another one is the changing regulatory environment. We could talk here about laws. So what are the laws related to a restaurant? It would be the permission to, in this case, to have a restaurant that is going to be given to us by the municipality. So if the municipality or the government changes these laws, so it makes it harder for us to get the permission or to keep the permission to have our restaurant. This will be a potential threat. Another is the negative press and media coverage. So maybe the potential, let's say we could talk about, I don't know if you remember about, if you remember about Domino's Pizza a couple of years ago. You remember what happened? You remember that they found some cockroaches in the Domino's Pizza that is in the restaurant that was in Los Olivos, and it was so it had such a negative media coverage that we were seeing memes all around Facebook and the internet. So maybe if we have those kind of issues with not being that clean, we will have the potential threat of a negative press or media coverage that could get to the point to kill our business. So we must be careful with that. And finally, changing the customer attitudes toward our company. So a potential threat would be that our customers just stop liking our company. Maybe it could be about, in this case, we could talk about um, being clean, and also we could talk about having a nice attitude toward them. So giving a nice client service. So if we give bad client service, if we know that we right now in our company, in our restaurant, don't give a good client service, we might have the potential threat or our customer changing their attitudes to our restaurant. So that would be a point to have in mind. And in this case, in threats, it would be to change that, to find a solution for that. And in case of the opportunities, would be to take advantage of the opportunities. In the case of weaknesses, would be to change the weaknesses. And in the case of strengths, would be to potentiate the strengths. Okay, so remember, our strengths we must encourage to keep them as strengths and put more effort in them. In weaknesses would means to change, to correct those weaknesses to find a solution. In opportunities would be to take advantage of the solution, in this case of the opportunities that are given. And in case of threats would be to find a way to avoid the potential threat. In this case, for example, if we were talking about a potential negative media coverage that could be done by a bad, not being that clean in our restaurant, a way to avoid this potential threat would be to have to do fumigation in our restaurant, for example. That would be a potential solution. That would be a solution, or in this case, we will be thinking forward to the future to avoid a potential threat. Okay? Now, we're going to see a case and this case is the ABC restaurant. So we're going to keep with the restaurant scenario. If we're talking about a restaurant, we will have strengths, we will have weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. For example, first, if we have a strength, we can talk about a restaurant having an excellent, well-trafficked location. So it means that the strength of our restaurant would be that we are maybe in a in a huge avenue that has a lot of people coming in, coming out, passing by. So we will have a well-trafficked location. So it means that we are going to have a lot of clients. Another strength would mean a good reputation among the local community. This means that we have a really nice food, so people like our food and they talk to their friends and they make a good reputation for us. Another strength would be a seasonal menu, locally sourced. For example, in this case, if we're talking about a restaurant, and if we are talking about a Peruvian restaurant, it means that we will have seasonal menu. In this case, it will mean that we will have we will have not only like regular international food, but we are talking about, let's say, seafood. Or for example, if we are in season of conchas negras, let's say, it will be a really really nice main course or maybe an appetizer for our menu. It will be seasonal and it will be locally sourced because we will be buying it, let's say, from inside Peru. We will not have to import the product from another country. Now, we then talk about weaknesses. So, if we talk about weaknesses, we will be talking about a higher cost than comparable chain restaurants. So, it would mean that our restaurant is more expensive. The price that they have to pay for our menus are higher than in other chain restaurants. So that's a weakness. That's bad. Another would be a single location, so it will mean a limited reach. So if we only have one restaurant, it means just one location. It would mean that we maybe we will have just a reach of 50 people or 100 people, so it will be limited. Then if we have maybe 3 or 4 locations, that will mean that we can get to four times 4 times more the quantity of people to eat in our restaurant. Then we can talk about the modest advertising budget. It would be a weakness if we just have a really small budget for advertisement. In this case, maybe we have just a small amount of budget just to put our name of the front, but it will be a weakness if we compare it to maybe another restaurant that have the money and they have money and they invest um, money in, let's say, maybe making flyers or putting their names, in this case their logos in local magazines, or also to invest in, let's say, a community manager and make a Facebook and an Instagram in order to get more people to the restaurant. So in this case, having a modest advertisement budget would be a really it would be a weakness because it wouldn't be good. And finally, not currently using food delivery apps technology. It is also a weakness but it is a weakness that is for nowadays because a couple of years ago, a company, or in this case, a restaurant that didn't use apps, it was okay. But now that people tend to just go into their cell phone and ask for food via domicilios.com or maybe Rappi or Globo, it means that if we don't have that, that will be a weakness for us because we are going to be losing potential clients. So it won't be good, right? Now, talking about opportunities, we could talk about the growing interest and support for locally sourced ingredients, especially people that really like Peruvian food and that they like local food, local ingredients. If we see this interest that is nowadays not only in Peru but for people that come from other countries for tourists, they have a really high um, grow interest in Peruvian ingredients. So this would be an opportunity for us to take advantage of. Now, also the seasonal menu that keep things fresh and interesting. So if we have a seasonal menu like we were talking about, let's say conchas negras, it will we will be using products that are fresh, and it will be really interesting in a regular menu or just a restaurant to have this kind of exotic food. So it will be a potential opportunity to take advantage of. And finally, we can talk about the potential for growth via food delivery and app technology or apps technology. In this case, we see every day that people have nowadays a really high interest in we really have a really high interest in buying via a cell phone and using apps. So in this case, if we see this potential growth of food delivery apps, if we are able to create one or just to be part of one, it will be a really, really nice opportunity that we should be taking advantage of. So we will be taking this weakness and just cross it over and put it as an opportunity and take advantage of it. And finally, we have the threats. In this case, intensifying competition from established chain restaurants. So, if the main chain restaurants intensify their competition, it would be a threat. Let's say, what would be a kind of a competitor that is a change restaurant for a regular restaurant that could be just one location restaurant. Maybe we can talk about, let's say, this. Um, I don't know if you have heard about Ajiku. That it is that they sell uh, regular food, local Peruvian food on the malls. So this would be a threat if they intensify their competition. So they will be selling the same product that we do, but they sell it on the mall. So there's more people on malls than, I mean, in this case, there's more people that go into the mall to buy and then to buy clothes or any kind of product and then buy food than just a regular little restaurant that's outside the mall. So if they intensify the competition, maybe by uh, increasing their budget for advertisement, it will be bad for us, and in this case, it would be a potential threat that we might try to find a solution for it. Then, an uncertain economic environment. In this case, uncertain economic environment, we will be talking about it if we are talking about, let's say, election times. Do you remember a couple of years ago when we were on election time that it was PPK against Keiko? Do you remember that we kind of have an uncertain economic environment? I do remember because I used to work in a company that we used to import. And this company was like, the clients didn't buy. They weren't buying. But why? Because they didn't know if it was going to be Keiko or PPK was going to be the winner, and they didn't know what was going to happen with the companies that have um, capital from outside. So it was really uncertain, and it was a potential threat that was like taking down the sales. So it was bad. And finally, we can talk about the rising cost of ingredients. We can see this, or we were able to see this when have uh, when we had the phenomenon in do you remember that we weren't able to find lemon anywhere? and if you could find one lemon, they will sell it like $2 per lemon. So it was really bad. And every time we have that kind of potential, let's say, weather environments that are bad for our in our country, let's say like phenomenon El Nino, it might increase. In this case, it will rise the cost of ingredients because we won't be producing them. In this case, especially lemon, it is the one that I really remember. So this is a potential threat. So it would be a really a factor to take um, to be really careful and to try to find a solution. Maybe if we won't have, if we won't be able to have access to lemon, maybe we just might not sell lemonade, so maybe we just stick to, let's say we could just stick to, um, let's say to sodas or to water or maybe pineapple water or any kind of juices or waters that don't need lemon in order to don't increase the price of our menu because if we buy expensive ingredients it means that the menu price will be going up too. Okay, so now finally we're going to go to Google in order to search for information. I'm going to share to you my screen. Give me 1 second so I can share it to you. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we're going to go to Google and google.com.pe. Okay, so now I'm going to share to you my screen. Okay, okay, here we are. Okay, so we were talking about the, the restaurant case, the ABC restaurant case. So what if we were doing a SWOT analysis and we want to know what are the potential threats? So we know that maybe that we might have a phenomenon in Nino, but we are not for sure. So how do we use Google in this case? In this case, we could put phenomenon, let's say in this case I'm going to put it in Spanish, Fenomeno El Niño 2019 in order to see if this might be a potential threat. So if we know that every year there's phenomenon El Nino, and we are doing our use regular SWOT analysis of every year or every, let's say, 2 months or 6 months, and we know that this is a potential threat, we just might go to Google and search for it. So if we put phenomenon El Niño 2019, we see that the probability of phenomenon El Niño happening between December of 2018 and February 2019 is between 75 and 80%. So there's a really high uh, risk of a phenomenon El Niño. But it says that they expect that their intensity uh, that it won't be that hard, according to some provisions published by this organization on water. So, if we know that there might be a 75 between a 75 and 80% in this case in here, and I'm going to share to you in here. In this case, we are doing the ABC restaurant, let's say SWOT analysis for 2019, and we will be doing this at the end of 2018, let's say to November or December of 2018. we should put in here that a possible threat, a potential threat, would be the um, the phenomenon of Nino happening in Peru, that it would mean that there will be rising cost of ingredients, especially in lemon. So we will have this threat, this potential threat, that we are not going to have any kind of, let's say, power to just make it don't happen. So in this case, we will try to find a solution. So a solution for it will be what I said to you. So just in this case, in case this happens in 2019, we just might not use lemon for drinks and try to avoid it on, let's say, salads. So in case of selling lemonade, we will be selling sodas, we will be selling water, or with selling pineapple water or any other kind of juices or waters that don't use lemonade. And in the case of, let's say, if we sell a menu that has a main course and an appetizer that usually people like, salad, and we are not able to use lemon in these salads because of phenomenon El Niño, a potential solution for this potential threat would be to use vinegar instead of lemon. So it will have kind of the same taste. It won't be the same, but it will be kind of the same taste. So we won't have any kind of problems, not using and not buying, in this case, the lemon, to later have a negative outcome that it will be to rise our the prices of our menus. Okay, so that will be kind of an example on how to use, in this case, Google, to search for potential threats and also potential opportunities, for our cases, in for our businesses and areas. In this case, we were doing the case of just a regular restaurant in Lima, Peru, a small business. Okay, so now finally I'm going to leave you the references in here where we took all the information in order to make this material. And finally, I want to give you the access to the survey slash survey and exam. I'm going to give it to you right now. Just give me a second. And here we are. I'm going to leave it to you on the group chat. And remember that, before taking the exam, I will really recommend to you to check again, to see again the video, so you can just have, refresh a little, refresh your memory a little bit, more with the information that we saw today. And, um, in this case, you will find the five questions for the exam, and also you will find some questions for you to let us know how the class was. Okay. Finally, I want to thank you for your attention. Remember that this was session 4, the SWOT analysis. I'm your teacher, Liliana Quipuzco, and I hope to see you next week. Okay? Take care. Bye bye.